phones.
Sometimes, man, there's only that much technology I can handle. I'm like, ugh. And
I
this is
mean,
this is coming from someone who's like so future positive on cryptocurrency and the technology that goes along with this. And this is the same person going sometimes technology. Oh. Let's just go back to
okay.
the analog days.
Wow. I mean, imagine doing a pandemic in analog days. We would be very badly hit, worse than we are right now. Like, how would that be?
I
Hmm.
think everybody says, I wonder how we ever got along without smartphones. How did we ever get along
Mm-hmm.
without the internet? How did we ever get along without, delivery services dropping things at home? The fact of the
Mm-hmm.
matter is, we've got along for like millions of years, not just a few years, without all that stuff. And we made it till here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not so bad to kind of do without some of the creature comforts. And everyone says that now being in the pandemic, people are working from home, and I go, no, 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 you've got it all wrong. You're not working from home, you're living in the office. Because now with the pandemic, there is no concept of weekend, there is no concept of work stops at 5:30, 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. You're working all the time, every time. So in fact, you are living in the bloody office, not working from
That
home.
is that is very interesting take. And with the number of entrepreneurs that have
It's
shot up right
freaking
now.
true. There was a phase of this pandemic when I was like, Zoom call, fuck you. Don't pick up the phone. And you got pulled into random Zoom calls that you really had no business being a part of. You had no reason to be there. And in real life, you got called in meetings when you had something to contribute. But in Zoom calls, you're just like, yeah, maybe just come and listen, no? Just come and contribute, like be a part of it. I'm like, fuck off, man. Really frustrating.
Yeah, and it's a little hard to avoid any of those meetings because you really have no excuse. You're just at home. Like, I can't be like, I can't come to office today, I'm doing something, but nope, you're at home. You got to be there for each one of them.
I see Ranvijay and Kevin are also watching parts of the live. It's usually, when we were doing our Loyalty is Royalty lives,
Hmm.
Kevin's internet was the one that was always like up its own yin yang. But now of late, I seem Kevin seems to have passed on his crown to me. I mean, what's been happening in your life?
What's been happening with my life? Nothing, honestly. I got into crypto too. I'm trying and playing with a few coins, at least when the peak was on. Right now, I'm just hodling all the way. Doing coffee with creators, which is basically my interpretation of when the second wave hit. I
Mhm.
figured I didn't know what content to create, and I figured that there were a lot of other creators who were probably thinking on similar lines with all the doom and gloom around us, and maybe we could motivate each other. And then it has gone on to become this series which where the mood overall has changed and a lot of ideas are exchanged. A lot of people have started making content along the way, and just in general people are in a better mood. So now I'm just talking about you guys and your life. So you said you've gotten into cryptocurrency right now and your show. What pushed you to it?
I've always been a fan of innovation and technology, and I believe that blockchain is the future. I
Mm-hmm.
actually got into crypto the way many of us got into crypto about 4 or 5 years ago. I FOMO'd in at the peak, like an
Okay.
idiot. And of course, I bought Bitcoin when it was at its max. And then as it kept dropping lower and lower, I kept laddering in bit by bit. And then finally, it dropped. I think it dropped about 30% of its value. The last time it
Mm.
lost 70% of its value. And I was like, fuck it. And I'm just going to forget about it. And then I think the government
Yeah.
went ahead and banned Bitcoin for a while. And I was like, fuck it. Anyway, I don't care. And then around November last year was when it started to go back up again when the next bull run started. And I made the mistake of selling all the Bitcoin that I'd held on to try and recover my losses. And it was only after that happened and I realized what a mistake I'd made that I started to research and read up more about the entire universe of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and everything else that surrounds it. And I'm happy to say that I now am relatively better informed than what I was before. And
Okay.
based off the back of that, of the information and that learning process, I started a crypto podcast in association with Wazirex, which is India's biggest crypto trading platform, to
Mm-hmm.
um, point people in the right direction. Let me put it that way, because I'm not really trying to
Mm-hmm.
teach people how to trade or how to, invest or how to make money. I'm just trying to say that if you're interested in this world and this technology, here are some of the things that you
Mm-hmm.
should be looking at, and here are some of the things that you can learn. Beyond that, what you do is entirely up to you as an individual. So if you decide that I want to participate in it, to what level I want to participate in it, how I want to engage with these platforms or with the community at large, that's entirely up to you. It's like being a Manchester United fan. I mean, either you kind of skim the surface of um, league football, club football, or you dive deep and then you get into, the Italian league and the Spanish league and everything else. Or you're like, hey, Man United, and right now the Man United fans are hating on me. I know. No, we've supported this team forever. I'm like, okay. Calm your titties. Maybe you have, but you know what I mean? Like a lot of
I
people
know.
got into Man United because, I don't know. I actually don't know why they got into Man United, but, there you have it.
They just did.
Yeah.
Well, and Ranuja was saying he wanted to come in and say hello, but I'm gonna pull him in towards the end if he's still around because my Instagram has glitched every time I have added a third person to the chat, and I just lose the entire video at the end of it. So I'm gonna see if he's still around in the end. I'll pull him. Coming back to you,
Let's gamble. Let's get him in. Let's see how it goes. Come on, let's
I
gamble.
might lose
Ch-
entire
खेलते हैं.
pieces of
Chil खेलते
content.
हैं. खेलते हैं.
Fine, let's see if he's up. Let's clearly crypto has gotten to us and we're gambling with even
Dude,
Instagram now.
I
Oh
I
fine.
do not take any risks when I trade.
What are you saying?
I don't.
How? Isn't all of crypto a
Some
risk? Okay, okay, I'm
No,
looking for Ranvijay. He's
not
not
true.
live right now.
Somebody's asking, Nick, are you going into NFTs with Wazirex? I am
Hmm.
very interested in NFTs, but I also think that you need to be very cautious about NFTs with very good reason, because I think there's a lot of crap out there. For an NFT to be successful, it needs, in my opinion, a reason to survive, a reason to exist,
Mm-hmm.
um, whatever that reason is. And you need to have a community around it to support it and to believe in that NFT. So if
Right.
you as a creator believe you can tick both of these boxes, then you've got the first level to start from as a foundation and as a platform. But you really
Mm-hmm.
do need more reasons than just saying, "Arey, इसमें पैसा बना सकते हैं. Come on, let's do NFTs." No. And to think of NFTs as just a way to make money is extremely short-sighted. You've got to think of NFTs as assets, as um, debt-raising instruments. Because the thing about
Mm-hmm.
if you have like the Mona Lisa, for example, you can't chop the Mona Lisa up into pieces, right? But an
Right.
NFT, if you hold it, you can actually fragmentize an NFT. Even though the NFT itself is non-fungible, you can
Mm-hmm.
take that asset and divide it into many bits, and you can raise
Many
debt off
people.
those many bits. Now imagine if you could take a loan on
Mm-hmm.
1/10 of the Mona Lisa, as
Right.
opposed to the whole Mona Lisa. So there are
Right.
many different ways of looking at these things. So you just have to kind of sit back, have a cup of coffee, allow your brain to wander and to think of infinite possibilities. And of course, with infinite possibilities also come infinite pitfalls. So you just need to make sure you're aware of that. It's not just like, hey, get rich quick. It's the best way to lose your money if you think
Truly
it's a get
that.
rich quick scheme.
That is a fact, but I'm gonna go back to what we were talking about before we went into crypto, before we disconnected. When I said I announced you as a guest, I got a lot
Right.
of messages from all age groups, not grapes. Excited to have you there. They weren't questioning me because I didn't get the roadies crowd asking Nikhil kyun hai. And I got a lot of my age people saying, "Oh my God, Nikhil, MTV Select, we remember you, we called you, we love you." Those kind of messages. So,
That's nice. It's nice that there is a community of people that still remembers MTV Select and all the fun that we used to have. And we had
absolutely.
that fun that we had was just for the small matter of 11 freaking years. MTV Select Monday to Friday, every day of the week for 11 years. It was quite a ride, man. And I loved every second
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, and Select became Super Select and so on and so forth, and so many memories. I used to be one watching it. I never thought I would be here talking to you like God knows 20 years later and about MTV Select. I mean, this close, I have tried calling you on that show and haven't gotten through ever. But I have friends who have gotten through. And from then to now, MTV Roadies, MTV Splitsvilla. There was a time when MTV didn't have Nikhil Chinapa there, but now he's back. So you've spanned across generations. How has that? been for you, your journey, and how have you managed to transition?
So to answer your last question first, how have I managed to transition? I'm not quite sure. I just, over the years, I've just kind of done stuff and some of that stuff kind of worked. And you're right
Mm-hmm.
about my career at MTV having spanned generations.
Mm-hmm.
And different people have different versions of what they believe a generation is. I
Right.
choose, in the context of
Mm-hmm.
MTV, to define a generation as the life cycle of someone who goes from being a Backstreet Boys fan to them then going, what the fuck was I listening to? Right? You
Right.
transition from
I,
that phase
yeah,
and then you go, having said that, Backstreet Boys, one of the greatest boy bands ever, full respect to them. But you know what I mean. So the
I
Backstreet
know.
Boy fan generally becomes a fan at about 12 or 13, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time you're 17 or 18 is when you go, what the fuck have I been listening to, right? And then you graduate to different forms of music and you discover indie or rock or down tempo or electronica or whatever it is. So if you look at it from MTV's perspective, a generation is around 6 years, give or take maybe a year, 5 to 7 years.
Oof.
You're with me?
And I
Does the
am
logic make sense?
I'm with you. I'm just trying to count the number of generations now that if it's 6 years or seven
Yeah.
years as the definition.
So this is my 23rd year at MTV. So I'm in my fourth
Wow.
generation right now, coming to the end of my fourth generation.
Damn, Nikhil,
Yeah.
that
So
is a long
that
time.
thing that you may have laughed at some point in your life has happened
Mm-hmm.
to me, where I've met someone and go, who's gone, man, I was such a big fan of yours. I used to come back from school and watch your show, and this is my daughter. That's happened to me. Like somebody who was my fan when they were in school now have children
Right,
who look
right.
at me
And
really
yet,
weirdly and go, why is my dad like freaking out over this guy? Like, who is this guy?
and now probably the kids are watching you on MTV, so they're still very much relevant, and now they
And they're
probably know
confused.
who
So
you
the kids today who are watching me on MTV are confused about why is Nikhil a judge? किसने life में किया क्या है? इसको judge बनाया क्यों?
are.
Which I still find extremely funny. And I refuse to answer. It's for them to figure out.
Right. Hmm.
Because even if
Okay,
I try and
and
answer it, it won't make sense. It's like trying to explain blockchain technology to someone who goes, ये Facebook चलता कैसा है?
but tell me this, Nikhil. In between, when you went on to the side of electronic, you always were interested in music. You were initially an engineer, right? If I'm not mistaken, if I
I'm an
remember right.
architect. I still am. That's
Architect,
my
my
degree.
bad.
I did a 5 year degree in architecture, graduated with a distinction and a thesis in hospital design.
Hmm.
In my 5th year was when I joined MTV. I didn't finish my thesis. I worked with MTV for a year and then went back to college for 3 months to finish my thesis.
Hmm.
Um, as to the question whether I was always into music, the correct answer would be no. I
Oh,
wasn't always into music. For the longest time, I had 3 or 4 cassettes, one of which was the Grease 2 cassette. The other one was the breakdancing movie soundtrack. And I think there was most of the cassettes, and I come from the cassette generation, that you bought in shops were all pirated. So you had the Grammys collection. Somebody would kind of make a
a
cassette with
mixtape.
10 songs of a mixtape and they would put a label on top of it. And that's the kind of stuff that we bought.
Right.
And I think all the way through till maybe the eighth or the ninth standard, by which
Hmm.
time today most of this generation has already acquired a musical taste, I was listening to ABBA and Boney M. And it
Hmm.
was somewhere around the 10th standard that I discovered Pink Floyd and Judas Priest, which is a heavy metal band. So the transition from ABBA to Floyd and Judas Priest and heavy metal was quite drastic. And then I
Obviously.
really got into heavy metal. I really got into everything from Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne and Iron Maiden and Wasp and Rat and Great White and Skid Row and Guns N' Roses. I mean, you think about it now. Guns N' Roses, Sweet Child of Mine came out in 1988, the same time as Def
Wow.
Leppard's album Hysteria came out. 1988 was fucking the time. It almost feels like, wasn't that when they fought the last World War? No, that was 1939 to 44. But you know what I mean? It just feels like so long ago. And I remember Sweet Child of Mine, like, head banging to it in my bedroom like it was fucking yesterday. It was just like,
Yeah.
and that wasn't even my favorite song from the album. The favorite song from the album was a song called Mr. Brownstone, which is like an incredibly well written, amazing, like faster paced track with an amazing lead. Slash kill that fucking lead on that one. But yeah, so I forgot what we were talking about. Just got excited with Guns N' Roses.
It's the generation and music. And for context, I was born in 1989, so that sounds older than you and
Well, there you go. And then
I.
it was actually metal was coming to an end around then, and
Hmm.
when the music generation switched from metal into um,
Disco?
grunge, not disco, into grunge, and um, what was like Oasis was
Whoa,
Smells Like Teen
yeah,
Spirit. Never really
never.
got into that. I couldn't vibe with it. I mean, great music, great songwriting, sold millions of copies across the world. But
Hmm.
Nirvana and Oasis didn't really vibe that well with me because I needed the energy and just the pure adrenaline of an Iron Maiden from back then.
Yeah,
And I seem to find that in electronic music in many different ways. And that's when I sort of got
that
into electronic music, and then that was a different journey that is still
yeah,
continuing.
that transition from heavy metal, because I mean I didn't know you were a massive metalhead at once upon a
Mad.
time, but then and now
Long
you're
hair, denim jacket with the back patches, all of that. Whole nine
wow.
yards.
And now electronic. How did that transition happen? Because a lot of people who were subject and grew up with, say, Guns N' Roses or grew up with Metallica, they would not, they refuse to be associated with electronic right now. So how is it that you made that transition and you still own your love for both genres?
You see, loving something is easy. I
Mm-hmm.
think hating stuff is what is complicated. You have to give yourself reasons to hate things every day. And I don't understand that. I didn't understand that in the music space. We
Mm-hmm.
saw a lot of that in electronic music in the early days of, not in the early days, but in the mid 90s, a lot of music fans of a particular genre, and
Mm-hmm.
with no disrespect to trance fans, because there are many type of trance fans, but if you found a lot of very vocal trance fans who said that trance was the only electronic music worth listening to.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw that in metal as well. A lot of metal fans would just piss on all other forms of rock music. They would be like, fuck
Ab-
you, this is shit, this is pussy music, this is pansy music, whatever it was, right? You just had
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of pent up angst and hate inside you. And I never quite understood that. If you play me anything, from Sufi to soul to disco to house to electronica to indie to Arabic folk music, if it touches my heart, it touches my heart. I listen to music the way I drink my wine. The best way to appreciate wine is to drink it. The best way to appreciate music is to listen to it and let your heart and your head tell you whether you like it or you don't. And if you like putting music into boxes and saying this is metal, and if it doesn't fit into this box, I can't like it, or this is deep house, and if it doesn't fit into this box called deep house or techno, I can't like it. I think it's just you're just wasting so much time discovering how to hate things rather than how to embrace things. A bit pointless,
Yeah.
if you ask me. And as for how I made that transition, putting it simply, I think it was puberty. And at that point in time, when you're that age, you want to go out and you want to meet girls, and your hormones are raging. You want to make out, you want to get laid. And when you lived in houses where your parents lived with you, and you couldn't really go out, the place to meet people and to sometimes make out was nightclubs and dance floors. And
Mm-hmm.
when the slow dancing section came on, back then you'd have a slow dancing. That was when you kind of you made out with somebody on the dance floor. And it's really strange that people don't realize this, what a catastrophic effect technology has had on the nightclub industry. Across the world, in more progressive societies, singles bars and gay bars were very
Mm-hmm.
popular for people to go and meet other people.
Mm-hmm.
And with the advent of Tinder and Grindr, they just made that entire culture of going out to get laid irrelevant, because you could get laid by swiping right on an app. It was just like, dude, you just killed all the fun from it. You killed the fun of going out and kind of doing the moves on the dance floor, looking at somebody across the dance floor, vibing with them, that person telling their friends, hey, I think he's cute, or you getting one of your friends to go talk. It was less just that whole process was just incredible on how you got to meet someone, how you fell in love, even if it was just for the weekend. And that kind of went with technology. It's a bit of a
Yeah.
tragedy, and it actually did have a catastrophic effect. I spoke to a friend of mine from Amsterdam. A lot of single
Mm-hmm.
bars in Amsterdam shut down with the advent of technology because people who went to these bars, I'm saying it crudely, they went to get laid. But no, they went to socialize and meet people, and one of the things that came out
Yeah,
of that was that you hooked up and you know, went home with somebody. But it really did have a catastrophic effect on the way people socialize and interact.
that is very true. But
Still a fan of
how?
technology, though. Still love technology. Hug, hug, kiss, kiss.
But tell me what, I mean, there were still people, even after swiping, right? They would still have to meet somewhere. And that would be a bar, or that would be a nightclub, or that would be
Nah, different
somewhere.
process altogether, man. Different
Fair
process
enough.
altogether.
Fair
I
enough.
mean,
But still, right now, even that's not an option. What do you think is happening right now with people with, like, the
with
option of going out altogether is taken? Sorry, go on. You want to say something?
I actually spoke to a friend of mine who has a teenage son, and she said, yeah, he's had three girlfriends, but there are no girlfriends on the pandemic. And you know, that when she said that was when I realized, like, oh shit, I remember when I was a teenager, if I was locked up in a home in a house with raging hormones, I would have gone nuts, like nuts. I feel bad for them. I feel bad for everybody who's like wants to get out there and get it on. I
Nothing.
I don't feel your pain, but I get you.
I
Totally
get
get
you.
you.
But dude, they don't even have college, man. They don't even have physical college. Like, I know a friend who's 16 and he got out of school when the pandemic hit. 11th standard went online. 12th standard is starting online. And he's never met his student friends, his professors live. Ouch.
You know, in the larger scheme of things, this is going to be a blip on the landscape. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the pace of vaccinations is picking up. Yes, we're
Mm-hmm.
going to see some variants. Yes, we're going to see a third wave. Yes, there may be even be a fourth. And you know, I'm pretty confident that we'll get back to some sense or form of normalcy. But there are only that many years you get to make out. There are only, I mean, you can travel at another time. You can watch movies, meet friends, open bottles of champagne, celebrate birthdays. But there are only that many years you get to make out. Guilt-free making
And
out, if you know what I mean.
yes, I am highly aware. But so okay, now that's out of the picture. But tell me, Nikhil, in the music industry right now, um, a lot of people used to hear a lot of music when you're traveling and when you're going to work and your radio's on. You had a show on radio, electronic music, which helped a lot spread it around as well. Um, Music festivals, all of that. But now with everyone sitting at home, and obviously the preferred medium is not audio. Now most of the things are visual. You have shows coming out every second day. You have videos for everything. How has that affected the music industry, and how has that affected you being one of the pioneers of electronic music in India?
From an industry perspective, from a jobs
Mm-hmm.
perspective, from an impact on people's financial prospects, it's been devastating. It's
Mm-hmm.
been truly catastrophic because the entertainment industry, like the music industry, is the first one to get shut down in a situation like this,
Mm-hmm.
and the last one to reopen. I've been following things. I mean, we're not in a phase where we can reopen right now, but um, I've been following what's been happening in the UK, and people in the UK are pissed off the entertainment industry because they're allowing people to go and watch the cricket. They're allowing people to go and watch football matches, but they're not
Mm-hmm.
allowing them to get into clubs. So there's a certain sort of what's the word?
Dichotomy.
Dichotomy, not dichotomy, is it duality
Hypocrisy?
to hypocrisy, duality to the government's way of handling things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been really, really hard on the industry, not just musicians and artists, but the entire sort of ecosystem of bartenders, waiters, support staff, people who run festivals, do lighting, rigs, security. The whole ecosystem got shut down. I don't for a second doubt that it'll all come back, but
Mm-hmm.
it has changed people's lives dramatically. People have had to, I'm hoping because India is such a tightly knit society and family still holds tremendous value in India that people have been able to reach out to friends and family and somehow gotten through this phase. But I think it'll come back.
Mm-hmm.
But from the music perspective itself, diehard music fans have not stopped listening to music or producing music. That never happens.
Mm-hmm.
There's different ways that people engage with music. Everybody listens to music, but you have people who say, "Yeah, man, I listen to everything," and you have on the other end of the spectrum, people who really deep dive into something that they truly care and they're passionate about. So the people on that end of the spectrum, the deep divers, nothing's changed for them because they've just been just as passionate, finding new music, interacting with other artists, collaborating, making music, producing music, releasing music. That's been going on, and there's been a lot of sort of innovation that's happened in that space as well. As the live gigs come back, you'll start to see some of those tracks and those songs field tested on dance floors and with audiences, and you'll get that feedback, and therefore the music scene will change a little bit. But I think crucially, if you remember what music and music festivals were like a year and a half ago, when you come back into music festivals now, it's almost going to be like Rip Van Winkle. Everything's changed. If you're really into music, you'll see that, hey man, the sound that was there a year and a half ago, that's not the sound that exists right now. And you kind of, the gradual transformation in sound that you would have seen in real life and therefore maybe not have noticed that gradual transformation happening, now you'll see it, you'll feel it. Because that gradual transformation has been happening with the deep divers in music. So they've been innovating and making stuff and doing things. So the change has been happening underground. But when it comes to the surface and come to the clubs, you'll suddenly go like, what happened over there? Where did all this music come from? I've never heard this before. What is this sound? What is that DJ doing? What is this song? So that is going to hit you really hard, which is a very exciting place to be. If you're even a casual fan of music, you're just going to get loaded with lots and lots of great music very quickly.
That sounds very exciting. I mean, I never really thought about that. But what do you think besides the music is going to change when, say, Supersonic happens again?
That's a hard one to call. See, Supersonic is not just, it's not unidimensional. There's the artist side, there's the fan side, there's the business side, there's the brand side. There's many different things that need to be looked at when you put together a project like Supersonic. So I'm a minority holder in the Supersonic brand. The majority of it is held by Viacom 18. So the final decision will come from Viacom 18 when they decide that it's safe enough and when's the right time to do the next edition of Supersonic. When they take that decision to do the next edition of Supersonic is when the core team will sit down and meet and say, okay, what is it that we're going to present when we come back in front of our audiences as we're back? And that is a longer conversation because it involves what the audience expects. It's what we want to deliver. It's how the music scene has changed. It's how India has changed. It's the scale of the event that you want to do. Are we going to be doing the same scale that we were doing before? Is it going to be less than that? Is it going to be more than that? The scale also determines the kind of presentation that you do with the different stages, with how the festival ecosystem is planned and laid out. Also depends on the number of people that you're expecting. So a lot of things will change. But none of that can be approached or discussed till that decision is taken by the powers that be that, yes, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this.
So,
for my part, I've got about 6 different scenarios saying that if we do this, then we can do this. If we do this, we can. So in my head, the plan's already there. So I just need to know when are we going?
When?
And then
go ahead. Give me the
which plan are we going with? Right, I've got everything in place for that.
But so I was speaking to Prasen, who's a National Geographic photographer, based out of Bangalore itself, and he was a Bombay boy, Maharashtra boy. He spoke that with the advent of the pandemic, there was a thing where before that, international channels like BBC, Nat Geo, etc., would directly just send in international photographers to capture whatever they needed to in India, and very few local photographers would be hired. But because of the pandemic, because of the restrictions on travel, they're looking at a lot more homegrown talent, a lot more Indian talent to capture Indian scenarios. So do you think a similar switch is going to happen where, say, for example, a music festival is going to be a lot more focused on Indian talent compared to the international talent? Like, do you think maybe for the first few years of the...
So you're really talking to the wrong person with this particular question, even though I understand what you mean by this question. You're talking to someone who, from the time I started my first festival, major festival, which was Sunburn, and even before that when we did the Zanzibar parties, never looked at as talent as being international or Indian.
Okay.
Talent was talent. And if you had the talent and if you commanded a certain audience, you got booked to play at an event that I was programming, organizing. So for me, it's never been about that. But I understand what you're saying. And I can understand why this has also happened to the BBC, because I would imagine in circles like that, you would have like an old boys club where a lot of your work would go to friends and associates and people that you've known over the years. And the same people would end up getting most of the work, and there'd be very new blood coming in. But when you're in a
Right.
pandemic, sure, I still need to get content. I can't send my best buddy who goes across the world for me and gets me great content because I think he does a good job. He can't now fly to Delhi or to Auckland or to wherever it is. So I get local people from there. And you realize that, hey, you know what? Maybe my friend who used to do all that work, he used to deliver stuff that was 100%. But these other guys, they do 99.98%. And is it really worth me not using them just
Using
because it's
that.
0.02% not to scratch?
Right.
And that 0.02% is also, it's that person's perspective. It's not necessarily an unbiased scale that they're being measured against. So that
Right.
is, it's great to hear that. And I can understand that being one of the fallouts of living in a pandemic world where you have to reach into local resources and therefore a lot more talent gets to come to the surface and gets an international stage. But in the music space, if you have a venue that has, let's say, a capacity of 300 people, then you book an
Mm-hmm.
artist that will pull in 300 people. There's no point booking an artist that's going to pull in 1,000 people if your venue capacity is 300. Similarly, if you're doing a
Right.
festival that pulls in 20,000 people, you need an artist that can pull in 10,000 people on the stage. And you can't do it with a 300 capacity artist. It doesn't matter whether
True.
that artist is Indian or international. I mean, for my
Right.
money, um, Pratik Kuhad will fill up an audience or a stadium in India just as quickly as a top-notch international artist. So
Definitely.
why would I say international and Indian? I'd be like, hey, I think my festival needs this sound, or this is what's
Mm-hmm.
lacking in the programming. Who's the best artist for this sound? What's the best deal that we can get for him? How many tickets do we? And you put all those numbers together and go, right. I don't need to get that guy from Switzerland or Birmingham or from Sydney. I've got somebody who's in Delhi or in Calcutta who fits the bill, and that's the artist that we need to program.
Nice. It's always so intelligent. I feel intelligent talking to you every time. Like you've always got some more tidbit to add from the last conversation that we've ever had. And in fact, we did have a conversation towards the beginning of the pandemic, which I have still not
Yes.
edited and put out. I
Yeah.
still
You
have
haven't?
that.
Dude.
I still haven't.
I remember you
I'm
sent
going
me
to
this
use
message saying
it.
it's for this new platform and it's really cool. I'm like, yeah, man,
Yeah,
sure,
the
sir, put it
platform
on, man.
shut
Just,
down. The platform shut down.
but we still
So
love
yeah,
technology.
yes, we do. But okay, I have a very so a lot of people don't like roadies on Splitsvilla, especially the ones that grow up on, say, MTV Select. There's a very big bias. Like, for example, people who love roadies and Splitsvilla would probably not associate or identify or like Select when it happened if we brought it up right now. How do you deal with that kind of varied audience reaction? Like, do you often have people maybe judging you? Or, like, for example, when I was talking to Cyrus and he was like, roadies, man, what the fuck, etc., etc. Like, Cyrus had a very strong point of view on roadies. How did you manage to overcome and go into roadies, blend in so perfectly, fit in with everything, and deal with the people who've seen you as select go into roadies and vice versa?
So I don't doubt that I get judged by people. I don't
Mm-hmm.
doubt that people have an opinion on things that are happening on the channel, in life, in the world, me personally. I just completely fail to understand why I need to react to any of it.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm going to say this a bit, it's going to come across rudely, but I don't mean this rudely.
Go
Why the
for
fuck
it.
would I care? If if I'm doing something on a channel that I've been on for 23 years,
Mm-hmm.
and there's some very competent people running the channel, and they've decided that they want me to be a part of something on that channel, I'm
Mm-hmm.
assuming that they've done their homework. I'm assuming that for every 20 people saying, what the fuck, there's a substantially larger number going, not bad, right? So for me to try and second guess myself and what I'm doing would just be an enormous waste of my own time, myself. I'm not pretending to be somebody else on Roadies. I don't pretend to be somebody else on Select. I don't pretend to be a festival curator when I make a music festival. I don't pretend to be a DJ. I don't pretend to be a crypto evangelist or I won't say evangelist, a crypto enthusiast. All the things that I do come from a place of sincerity. I actually believe in all the stuff that I do. And if it doesn't work, then the powers that be will tell me it doesn't work and I won't be a part of it anymore. It's as simple as that. I find it funny that people would wonder whether I think about the haters or people who are judging me, like, does it keep me awake at night saying, oh, there were 4 comments on my Instagram page today saying Nikhil tu chutiya hai. The fact is यार, हाँ मैं हूँ, बहुत लोगों के लिए मैं चूतिया हूँ, मगर बहुत लोगों के लिए मैं नहीं हूँ ना. तो अगर आप समझते हो कि मैं हूँ तो ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं. आप अपना चाय पियो, मैं अपना चाय पी रहा हूँ. इसमें क्या बड़ी बात है? Everybody is a
I,
चूतिया, but somebody or the other.
yeah, I mean, at least there's some kind of a reaction that comes out at least. But
It's
okay,
quite funny.
I can't not ask you about the Indian friends. I mean, I asked Cyrus, he had a distinct take. You have to
I'm
tell me
just,
what your.
man, I'm just,
I'm sure you've
Alexis,
answered this
I
over and over
am
again.
heartbroken. I am genuinely and truly heartbroken. Heartbroken that we only did half a season. I
What are
mean,
you?
we should have done the entire, I mean, you watched it, right?
I haven't. Where can I? Where is it?
It is apparently on YouTube. It's
What are you
on
saying?
YouTube, Indian Friends. Go,
Okay.
it is so bad that it could have been cult. It could have been a living,
Like The
breathing
Room.
meme. I don't know what the room is.
It's an American movie which was so bad that it's become legendary. They have
There have been
screenings
a
of that
few.
movie.
There's apparently
Yeah,
something else called the Rocky Horror Show or something like that, which is so bad that it became occulting.
a
But
cult.
this is genuinely so bad. It is so obviously a ripoff. It is so badly acted. It is so ham-fisted and hammy. I am disappointed that we only did that many because now in the perspective, I mean, back then it was, we were just like young kids. We were having fun. We got paid, like whatever it was,
Getting
right?
paid, yeah,
But
exactly.
back then, I mean, if we had done it, it would have been something that I would have been proud of presenting for generations to come to say, this was just like this. We made this and it was so bad that it is now epic. I mean, people should be quoting from Hello Friends. That's how bad it is. I mean, that's what it could have
Wow.
been. It could have been that.
You were Ross, were you?
I was Ross, yes. The
And
hangdog expression, the constantly like serious, like I was Ross, yeah. But you know
and
how, like from Hindi movies, you have those things, ki, kitne haath, nahi, what? Kitne goli the, or whatever, sambar. Those
कितने
are
आदमी थे?
famous lines.
Yeah.
Kitne aadmi the? And then ye 2.5 kilo ka haath. Dialogues like that would have come out of Hello Friends.
They
Landmark
even
dialogues
have
that people would have laughed at for the rest of their lives.
like Gunda, the movie.
That's the opportunity we miss. I'm not much of a movie buff, but yes, I'll agree with you. Gunda, whatever that is.
No, there is a line in that says that मेरा नाम है बुल्ला, मैं रखता हूँ खुल्ला, and so on and so forth. In fact, one of the so Gunda was like the league of extraordinary villains of all of Bollywood came together in the 80s to make one movie with no lines. In fact, one of them is right now in the Marvel's Eternals movie, which is a pretty big deal. So yeah, like just a random piece of trivia right now. But
Movies, man.
what
I'm
is
not much
that?
of a. I
Bouncer?
mean, right now I'm watching Jeremy Clarkson's The Farm. Jeremy Clarkson's Farm. Have you seen that? It's
No, I
on.
haven't.
The guys who did Top Gear, who then got fired, and
Okay.
they did the
The
amazing, no,
Amazon
what was
show.
the Amazon show.
The
So
Grand Tour,
he's
Grand
now,
Tour.
yeah, the grantor. Now he's doing his own farm.
Wow.
He's trying to be a
Okay.
farmer, which is quite funny, quite
It
well done.
can be hilarious. I can imagine. Is that on Prime too?
That's on Prime too. Free plug for Prime.
Interesting.
Prime, please send us a check.
Yeah, yeah. But Nikhil, this has been fun talking. A last question before you go. You recently, being like a year back, became a father?
No, man, she's 3, just over 3 now.
What?
Time flies.
It feels like a
Yeah,
year. So I can't
pandemic
even.
happened. Beta, beach
God
mein.
damn, God damn, 3 years. So, okay, I think this question's a little outdated now, but uh, having become a father 3 years back with a life as a VJ, which has to travel a lot, with a music festival person organizing this, travel a lot. How do you deal with being a father and being away from home a lot? And how does it work? And how's Pearl doing? And how does it work with her?
So, Pearl's been,
Oh,
I,
you're frozen
I've
again.
tried the best I
God
can as a dad, and
damn.
I don't think I've been doing too badly. It's a lot of fun, man. It's very, very gratifying. I love spending time with her. I love reading to her. And dressing her up and talking to her and explaining to her about, rainfall and birds and flowers and pointing out different birds that come to the tree outside our house. So it's been really good. It's been really, really good.
Good, nice. Before I let you go, I mean, Demarka Short, who's a friend of mine, she's a very big fan, so I'm gonna try and see if I can get her on the live. Would you want to talk to her?
Yeah, sure.
And
Hello.
that's
Hi,
How's it
how
going?
are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
I have actually spoken to you maybe in 2001, and I have a recording of TV Select video. My mom was like, "This girl is crazy." Recorded one.
Please send me the recording if you have it, because
I
I have
have.
zero evidence of me being on MTV. My daughter's going to grow up at some point in time and say, you're lying. You were never on MTV. Because back then, we never recorded any of our stuff. All our tapes
Oh,
would get re-recorded over every 3 months. I don't know, Zerks, I
I
don't know
was,
whether you know this. All our
no,
tapes,
I
all
did
the
not.
MTV tapes would get recycled every 3 months. So I have no evidence of ever having done anything on MTV from back then. So
Wow.
oh,
please send it to me.
I will try to get it. It's on a tape. It's on a VCR tape. If I don't know how will you use it.
If you send
Yeah.
that to me, I will find a way of getting it digitized.
All right,
I will,
fine.
I
I
will,
will
I'll
try.
figure it out.
Okay, I'll
Basically.
keep in touch with Xerxes about it, and I'm so glad I'm talking to you. It's so funny. You are a June born too, so this is practically my birthday gift because my birthday is on 3rd June, and that's exactly the conversation I've had with you on the like when I called
Ah,
you.
so I'm
Yeah,
guessing that I would have asked you what is the best thing about Geminis? Would have been my
I'm not. I was 12 or 13 then, so I have no recollection of that. But I remember you used to have a basketball thing. Looking at you, I
yes.
got one basketball thing for home. I got a basketball.
Really?
Oh my God. Yeah, yeah. I'm like a huge Nikhil Chinapa fan.
That
So,
used to
and
be.
I'm in my night suit because Xerxes didn't tell me he's gonna probably put me on here. But
I
it's
thought
so
I thought
cool.
I thought that was like that's very fashionable in this generation, by the way. What you're wearing.
Oh,
I thought
yeah,
you
yeah,
were
I
you
know.
were very with the times and you're sort of being fashionable. I was like, wow.
It is nice. It's like you
I know. It's
feel
like
good when
yay. It's like wow.
can't go
No,
to
so
Turkey but can wear hot air balloons at least.
oh, nice. That's on my bucket list, by the way.
That's
To go
what
for that festival with the unpronounceable long name starting with C. The balloon
I'm not
festival
sure.
starts with
Mm,
C. Start with capo. It's not cappuccino. Cappadocia.
Cappadocia, something like that,
Yes,
yeah.
that's the one. Yeah, sounds like
Yeah.
spelt a bit like cappuccino, but not cappuccino.
But wow,
So
Zerx,
what do you do
thank you so
now?
much. I quit my job because I couldn't handle it right before the
Well done.
pandemic,
Congratulations.
and then I started my own business. It's a cute little store on Instagram, doing quite well. I'm very, very happy.
Lovely. Give us the name of the store. Plug it. I mean, there's people watching right now. You should tell them. We've
It's
got people
called
helping out.
Eretz Juice.
Cappadocia.
It's called
It,
Eretz Juice.
Edits
Eretz
Jules.
Juice. Yeah,
Edits
I'll just
Jules.
yeah.
Type it in. So you
Uh,
do you do you do jewelry.
I do jewelry, but currently I'm focusing on mask chains because that's what's selling and everybody needs it. Because you keep dropping your, like you said, your earpod fell off, so people use that for earpods or their masks when they can just hang it in front of them. Otherwise, the masks, you will either leave it at a dirty table or you'll get out of your car and drop it in the puddle. So I think that's
Hmm.
something that's really well. I don't know if Xerxes has it, but I think I'm gonna send you one only because he want me to talk to you. But
Thank you.
oh, thank you, Nikhil, for talking here. Thank you, Upasna, for being here. This was Coffee with Creators, episode 19, and we're signing out. Thanks, Nikhil. Regards to everyone at home. Thanks, Upasna. Regards to
Thank you very
Rajiv at home.
much.
And we're going to sign out. Goodbyes.
See you guys soon.
nice
Take care.
to
Stay
talk to you,
safe.
Nikhil.